Hello and welcome to another day on the shop. Today we are looking in to the 240 and seeing why it runs like crap. So let's dive in here. So this is my 92 240SX convertible. 5-speed swap, 5 lug swap, R32 GTS brakes up front, Z32 brakes in the rear, turboed with a knockoff T3 T4 turbo. Right now it's got 370cc injectors, a Megan old school, fuel pressure regulator, eBay radiator, eBay intercooler. Yeah, got some bar stones and a nice little Grant steering wheel, and then a Tomei shift knob. So that's the gist of it. It's got coilovers. They're knockoff, but they're new. They haven't really been broke in. They probably got 5 miles on. A lot of blow by. It was a rebuilt engine where I basically took pistons out of a box and threw them in a block without looking at any part with them to do with the piston rings, so that there's excessive blow by. Over here, let's see what happens when I do this. That's not supposed to happen. So, yeah. Sorry for the long explanation and everything. I've got a lot of blow by, and I guarantee the blow by is what's causing my blackened exhaust. Because I also have a little catch can right here, a nasty, horrible setup. It could be better, but it is basically full, and it reeks of fuel from me trying to tune this thing. And then see these lines need to get replaced, which they are in this video finally. Even if I go NA, this video is gonna be a little bit long because we have a few things. New fuel line, new injectors, those are 550 cc's, and an engine block that, if I can pull it off, shouldn't have blow by because it's got new pistons in it with about 3,000 or 4,000 miles on it. It's also got a cosmetic head gasket. It's also got head studs. It does have main studs, but we're removing the main studs and putting the original bolts back in because the fact of, yeah, the APR, I didn't get the block machined for them, so we're gonna pull them off. And that's about it. Whole front cover is gonna come off. It's already loose right now. We're gonna swing this thing over. It does not have a crankshaft, as you see. This little baby is gonna get put back together. It's gonna get pulled out, and yeah, that's the fun, the joy, and yeah. Well, I was gonna do a burnout for y'all with the 240, but I can't get it to start. Pulled it in here, pulled it out of here, pulled it back in here under its own power, and then the last time I went to pull it out, it wouldn't start. I don't know why. It's got fuel, it's got everything else. I don't know if it's flooded. I don't know what's going on. So, in any aspect, we're gonna pull this motor out, and we're gonna get on the engine stand. So we're gonna see how quick we can do this. Right now, the only thing I have unhooked is this hose right there. We're gonna throw down, and we got about an hour, so we'll see how far I can get along with everything, and hopefully I can get most of what I need out of the way. And yeah, so we're gonna quickly do this because y'all have already seen this thing come in and out a couple of times. You've already seen an engine swap on this channel. If you haven't, check this playlist. You'll see it once or twice. All right, so I've spent less than 45 minutes. Got the radiator out, all the wires unhooked. The only thing connecting the engine to the vehicle as of gauges or anything else is the oil pressure sensor, or oil pressure gauge. Other than that, everything else is off. I'm gonna unhook the elbow from the downpipe down there to make it easier to pull the whole turbo setup and everything else, so I don't have to unhook the turbo. I found a couple leaks on the turbo drain and a couple leaks on the oil feed line. So, well, just one leak. It's on the fitting on the engine block itself. Everything else is undone. I got to do, like I said, the downpipe, the engine mounts, and then the last but not least, but the transmission. So, yeah. Less than another probably 30 minutes and I'll have this thing out, but I gotta take a break for a minute. Yeah, when I get back, 30 more minutes and we'll pull this engine, put it on the stand there, and then start prepping that engine for everything we need. Well, Jordan came to see me in his space suit, and we got it out. So it wasn't too much. I have a watch right now. Look at my phone. So say another 45 minutes really, and got it out, got it on the stand. I had a little issue where my flywheel bolts would not come out, so I had to heat them up and use the old DAC, pull them off. But yeah, everything is basically off. Starter's just hanging out here. I don't even know why I have it right there. But yeah, we got a little oil leak because I took the gauge off, like I said. And now we are going to start stripping this thing. We got to take the intake, the motor mounts, the alternator. I want the new water pump from here because I just put it on. The distributor and the rear manifold, the other motor mount, and the cam cover. Funny. Well, it's out, it's on the stand, and it's disassembled. As you see, there is a lot of oil everywhere. So it's basically leaked out of every orifice it has, which is horrible. We made a little mess, but that's mostly water, which is good. And this other block is getting cleaned up. Already got ready for the intake. Got to blow all that out, wipe it down. Ready for the exhaust. Got to put the motor mount over here. Got the motor mount over here. Got to put the alternator bracket on and everything else. Got to get the crank out, put the crank on. And yeah, so we have everything laid out right here. It looks like a big mess, but it's an organized in my head mess. So I know where everything is. I'm going to take an examine of everything that is going on, clean it up, and we're going to make sure this one doesn't leak when it goes in, and we're going to change up the fuel system. Well, time has jumped. So we've got a crank in here. We got bearings in here. We got the new water pump on here. It's coming together. So that's a big deal. This one has been torn apart all the way to where I don't need it anymore. The only thing I got to get off is this gasket. And once I get that gasket off, it'll be good. Not too much of a mess. I need to sweep my floor. It's got some gasket stuff on it. A little trash here and there. Gonna scrub this some more. And yeah, we're getting there. I removed the fuel filter, the regulator. This is going to be moved somewhere, not sure yet. And what else? I'm going to check the turbo, and I got to look in that clutch because I got to order an intake gasket because I forgot that I don't have any because I've used them up by pulling the intake off so many times. I had like 4 or 5, but I guess I need to order 2 or 3 now and call it a day. I like having stuff in my shop just in case I have to pull something apart. Makes it simple. So yeah, that's an update for right now. So you'll see me in a second, and hopefully this engine is completely put together with no issues. So let's get back to it. All right, well, update. So I was putting this on, and as you see, there's a bolt. So I ran out of studs, a stud, a bolt down there, a stud down there. I'm going to replace some of these bolts with studs, but this one in particular decided to round itself in the aluminum. So it stripped out the threads. So if you've ever seen or heard of a helicoil kit, that is what this is right here. So it comes with all these little inserts which specifically match up to the thread pattern on the stud. Comes with a drill bit, which I've used and it's not in here now. Comes with a tap as well, and like I said, those inserts and then the tools to put it in there. So we drilled out the hole, we threaded the tap in, so now we have a nice smooth set of threads that are in there. Can't really see, but they're in there. And now we're going to take the helicoil, and yes, I'm super lazy. I didn't want to take that manifold off, and hopefully it doesn't hurt me in the long run, because I'm going to definitely put some Loctite on that, and then I'm going to put some gasket maker inside the hole once the stud goes in, so that it seals it completely and it doesn't leak. Fingers crossed. So yeah, I'm almost done with this, and we're gonna get this situated. So I didn't really explain what a helicoil does. Helicoil goes in, and when you have strip threads, well, let's do a demonstration. Might make it easier. So you have your threads like this. Okay, well, if your bolt comes through and messes all these threads up, what you do is, and it's about that big, you take a drill bit, come through, and you wipe all this out. You essentially make the hole a little bit bigger. All right, then you come back with a tap. Come back through and you tap it in, and you tap it in the bigger size. Well, then the helicoil comes in, and as we have this, the helicoil comes back in as it goes, and it makes the thread pattern this big instead of this big. So now you can take your stud and stick it in, and it tightens down on the helicoil, which tightens down on the bigger threads. So in essence, where my top went, it remakes the threads without having to redo an entire setup of welding and everything else. So this is a repair kit for bolts and studs, and the reason why you want to use a stud is instead of a bolt which tightens down in here, the stud is tight in here, but as you're tightening it down, it's not tightening anymore into the aluminum head itself. It's tightening down onto the stud. So in essence, it saves the block or the head. And so that's what we're doing here, is we're just tapping this and putting this in there so we don't have a leak anymore, hopefully, in that spot. So we got our helicoil. Now we're going to thread it all the way in, snap the little ring off, and then we should be able to put the bolt in. So that's what, or stud, excuse me. So that's what we're doing. All right, guys, I'm sorry I did not show the helicoil setup as I put it on. So everything's on here, tightened down. As you see, I got some copper gasket up here. It's kind of excessive, but hopefully this seals it up, because I did have 2 little leaks. I think I talked to y'all about that. So everything is on here. These are all studs now. They are all secured and tightened down. All right, so another day. Just got back from a week of vacation. You'll probably see that video before this one. So yeah, we're done basically. We got our new lines going around. We got a new fuel rail with our new injectors. We got everything on here that needs to go on here. Now clutch and flywheel, pressure plate, all that's gonna go on. It's got a pretty new pilot bearing in there, so I'm not worried about that. We, I don't know if I've shown y'all this yet, but fuel system, fuel return, with the regulator, fuel filter, with the feed, everything. Went all the way up, all braided line, all the way up there. And braided line is going to the return right here. And the feed line is going to have a hose clamp and a little fitting to make it look like it's not hose clamped right there. And yeah, that's gonna have an AN fitting right there. So we're getting there. Getting there. Now, pressure plate and flywheel, the new ones. I haven't really talked about this, and let me pull these things out real quick and show you what's in these boxes. So I went with the White Bunny clutch kit. So what it entails is a D21 or a hard body, Nissan hard body flywheel with a 280ZX clutch and everything else like that. The pressure plate and all is full kit. Extremely cheap. The flywheel is a little heavier. I don't have a weight on it, but it's a little bit bigger, so it helps out with just weight in the back, kind of rotating weight, which takes away a little bit of power, but it's okay. This thing's slow already. So the clutch though is just a little bit bigger than the stock 240 clutch. So stock 240 clutch, laid on top of it, it's just a few millimeters bigger all the way around, if you see. So that means that is bigger. The surface area that this hits on here is going to be bigger because it won't fit on this as well as this. And then the pressure plate is bigger and a little bit more stout. So yeah, I can put all these in the link in the description below if you want to look at them or anything else, because yeah, it's the cheap way to do it, and that's what I'm doing right now, is a cheap, hopefully 250 to 300 horsepower. We're in. There she is. Still got a list of things to do, like let's see, I wrote it down: the radiator, trans bolts, power steering, alternator, intake, distributor. Just the distributors have to be put in a certain order for timing. Plug, starter, exhaust. So with all that, I've done the fuel. Fuel is good. Fuel is nice. I like it. Right there. New fuel filter from Evil Energy. New fuel lines, hard line to AN line. New fuel pressure regulator. AN lines to the fuel rail both ways. This is not an AN line, but I like it, so it's on there. I could change to an AN line. I do have the stuff for it, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to leave it simple like that, because they're just crush fittings. If you've ever seen one, they're pretty cool. They come with that little gold thing in there, and it squeezes it down on that to squeeze the hard line. Like I said, I think I have the right size because I got two different sizes, big and small. I'm not sure what the actual size is. I think one's 5/16 and the other one's 3/8. I don't know, but I've got them. I don't feel like doing that. It's too much right now. So yeah, the next thing is just sorting everything out. It's wired up right now. I ran the wires through up under the intake for the first time ever to kind of clean up the clutter up here. Think about moving my catch can back here. Not sure yet. And then just slowly finagling this budget build up. So it's become more than a budget build. I'm a couple grand into it, but hey, why not have some pretty fuel line, pretty fuel pressure regulator and filter, and yeah, why not just shine up the turd a little bit, just a little bit. So next, we're gonna get the rest of this together and crank it up and see how it goes. All right, well, we're getting this done. I just checked all the fuel fittings. I had a little leak of fuel once I got the fuel pressure up, and now I don't. So I've got all the settings in the SAFC, and now when I turn this, that turns on, everything turns on again. Fuel pressure right now is reading like 60, if not a little bit more, which isn't too bad for right now until I get this uncranked. But no fuel leaks. Everything's tightened down. Got my Evil Energy fuel lines everywhere and everything else. Red is for return, black is for feed, minus that one right there. All my wiring's done. So yeah, now it's just the first crank, which is going to take a minute, so bear with me, and we're going to see how this thing runs, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, it runs good, and then I can get it out of here. So let me crank this thing over and see what it does. All right, well, yeah, I found the problem. So I've read about it, heard about it, and everything else. The White Bunny clutch kit is supposed to self-clearance. Well, it's hitting on the transmission or the back of the engine. I'm not sure yet. So I can't even start the car. It won't turn over anything. So what I got to do now is lift it back up and drop the trans and look at clearancing. So once I do that, I should be able to start it. We're going to cut this into a two-part series of getting this engine in here, because the fact of it's just taking a while, taking too much time. So yeah, so stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll show you what I had to clearance and everything else. But I want to say thank you for joining into another episode of The Shop. Hopefully some of this has helped you. If it hasn't, cool. If it's entertainment, it's even good too. But check out some merch down below. Leave a comment. Any questions, I'll answer them. And yeah, so let's see if we can get this thing on the road and get it going like it needs to. We're gonna have some fun. Okay. Until next time.